being fit, it can be challenging from a time perspective to make it work when you're working. But then how is it helping you also improve your work life?
There's been multiple researches how exercise and specifically weight training, resistance training have improved neurological connections in your brain and how you actually tend to grow new brain cells, as we all need as you age, because you train, because you use resistance training. So, and of course, it helps in your workforce, no matter where you work, no matter what your career is. And it's not about the looks. Of course, we talk about body goals and looking good and feeling good, right? But it builds up your confidence. You start to carry yourself different. You become a lot more on point. You need to get to the gym, so you become a lot more organized with your time, right? So, and if you have a boss or you are your own boss, you appreciate that. You get more done. The more you have on your plate, believe it or not, you get more done.
Yeah.
That's
I totally agree with this because, as I mentioned at the start of the episode, I am an anxiety workouter. That's not a word, but it's rolling with it. Is if I am stressed, like my husband will be like, Did you gym this morning? Do you need to gym this afternoon? Would you like to go for a walk? Because I am that person where my anxiety and my stress levels, they get higher and higher the longer between workouts that I go. Welcome back to this episode of Secrets of the Career Game. So many people are trying to navigate a corporate world that is laden with secrets, cleverly hidden, and unspoken rules to a game that most employees don't even know that they're playing. On this podcast, we try to give you a peek behind the curtains and some tips and tricks to ultimately make you successful in your career and help you progress a little bit faster. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm like super jazzed about today. So it's January. It's all new year, new me, new you. And today we are going to be talking about finding your optimal health and fitness and some of the challenges that we may face with Masha Challenge. So she is a fitness coach and a body goals expert. She doesn't believe in restrictive dieting, and she still helps people and women achieve their body goals. She is actually my personal training and nutrition coach, with whom I've lost over 10 pounds in the last 4 months, which is wild. So welcome, Masha. I'm so excited to have you on the show.
I'm so excited being here. Thanks so much for having me. And your results have been nothing but amazing with the busy, crazy lifestyle, being a mom and a wife. And I always admire how you manage to just get everything done and you don't make excuses. So honestly, your results are very well deserved and very, very impressive.
Thank you. This whole episode is about me. No, just kidding. So why don't you tell listeners, like, what inspired you to become a fitness coach for women? You've got a really interesting background. You've worked with pageant women, which is how I found you. You've worked with just moms and everyday successful career women. Love to hear what really inspired you to start that.
Well, that's actually a very interesting story because till about late 20s, I didn't even work out. I didn't have a workout routine in place. And I used to believe in just running and try to get skinny. There was nothing healthy and there was definitely no confidence in me at all till I fell in love with fitness. And within maybe a year of starting to work out, I found my passion for helping women. So simply by putting myself first, my health and fitness, and changing my perspective from trying to be skinny and skipping meals to becoming strong and fit and really healthy, I found my passion for helping women just like myself, because fitness completely transformed how I feel, how I look. It has built my confidence. It has transformed my entire life and how I show up for myself and for others. So I truly want every woman to stop shrinking herself to fit a certain size, to stop giving her time to everyone else and put herself first, and to become her own body goals.
Yeah, I love this. And we're going to deep dive into like many of the things that you just touched on as we chat today. But one of the things that I think is so great about your approach, and, you know, we talked about my results a little bit earlier. And for those of you guys who've been following me a while, fitness is a part of my life, not necessarily because I love it, but because I become a mental patient without it. And I need that like energetic output or I become very stressed in a lot of situations. And so I've worked with lots of personal trainers over the years, lots of nutritionists, and Masha is your program has by far been one of, if not the absolute most favorite of mine, just because I think it fits into my life really well. It is flexible enough to actually be realistic, but has enough structure to give people direction who may or may not have done something like this before. And you're right, it does transform our confidence. So as you think of, there's so many women out there today who are really struggling with very restrictive dieting, right? We've talked about keto, and then there's paleo, and then there's no carb Atkins, and then there's I eat air and sunlight 24 hours a day. And they're pairing this with a lot of cardio to try and get rid of like this stubborn body fat. What is your philosophy with like how to achieve that like feminine hourglass shape without having to go to these extremes that we see are so popular in mainstream media?
I love this question, and it's definitely something I'm very, very passionate about, because any restrictive diet will put you right back to square one the moment it ends. So if your diet stresses you out, if it's not relatable to your life, if it's too restrictive, you will not stay on it. And even if you get short-term results, they will be gone, and you might even gain more weight, or you might fall back off track even worse than when you originally started the diet. Your diet needs to fit your life. It needs to make sense for you. You need to understand it. And there is nothing scary about actually applying something that works for you. The sooner you understand how much you should eat and how to enjoy your favorite foods, like I have pizza, pasta, a glass of wine, something sweet almost on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. Without losing results, without feeling guilty, without feeling like, I need to burn off those calories. And that's the exact approach, which is the flexible dieting approach I teach all of my clients, including you, as you know.
Yeah. Well, and I think something that's been interesting in my time working with you is we've also made adjustments, right? So when I first started the program, I had some weight that I wanted to drop. We had like a very clear plan of how we were going to get there. And then you were like, okay, we're close to our goal. Let's take up protein. Let's take up carbohydrates. Last week, I was like, I'm so hungry this week for some reason. And you were like, we might need to up your carbs. Let me take a look at it. So I love that you really adjust based on feedback, which is great. And I laughed because we talked a few weeks ago and she's like, do you eat vegetables and just not tell me about them? Because I don't see like any vegetables. And I was like, no, I pretty much eat meat and bread. So the last 2 weeks, I've been really trying to up my veggie intake and I feel so much better. So even those small tweaks of like, hey, I don't need you to change your calories at all. You're doing all the things, but like, love to see a vegetable in there somewhere, or like, and it's funny because I used to be vegan. So I used to like only eat vegetables, and now I'm like, indeed, I don't. So I love that you kind of have this flexible approach. I think even with the other girls in the program, I see like they may be eating something different than I do. But I think on the flip side, you talked about running for cardio, and I feel like I was an elliptical girly back in the day. So how do you see that shifting? Like, I feel like women are starting to go more towards weights. Weights are a lot of what you teach in that weightlifting in your program. So I'd love to hear kind of also on the exercise side, how do you really approach making sure women are getting that ideal body type?
I love that. Well, first of all, women, as you mentioned, right? The body goals and the hourglass shape. So all of those terms usually stand for women who are fit, lean, and toned. And sadly, not everyone realizes that being toned means exposing the muscle mass that you have built. You can't just lose body fat, or you can't just focus on losing weight expecting that you will look nice and toned like a girl on the cover magazine. You actually need to build the muscle, and that does not happen by doing cardio. With too much cardio, you're actually losing more muscle than you're trying to build. You're losing energy. You're simply burning a few calories. The best part about building more muscle is the more muscle you build, which is really hard to do. Don't get too excited about building a lot of muscle. I've been working on it every single day, and it's it's a very slow process. But the best part is the more muscle you have, the more calories you burn naturally, the more good food you get to eat. You have so much more variety, so much more flexibility and fun with your diet. And you actually get to look fit and toned once you lose a little bit of that body fat that is extra. And as you mentioned, you start at one point with a certain amount of calories and then you can adjust. So
thank you for tuning in to today's episode. If you're finding the information on this podcast helpful and you're looking to take control of your career and start to elevate yourself to the next level, go ahead and check out our course. Go to bit.ly/career coach course to get signed up today and to start taking your career to the next level and navigate the secrets of the career game.
When somebody says, oh, I know what to do, I'm just not doing it, there are levels. You might start with a weight loss, and then we'll focus on building more muscle, and then we'll focus on fat loss. So there are different levels. You don't just start with one number of calories and protein and one workout style, and you stay with it forever. No, that's how you plateau.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I think so many women are afraid of getting bulky. Right. I see this all the time on social media, like, especially with like Pilates, Princess being the movement. And don't get me wrong, I love reformer Pilates. I do it every Friday. It's my like one day a week that I deviate from just Masha's plan as I do Pilates once a week. But I feel like they're like, oh, well, if you want lean muscle, stop lifting weights. And I just don't think that's the reality. Right.
That's very true. First of all, I approve the Friday Pilates. Go for it. I'm trying to get into Pilates myself, but looking for a little bit more free time to do all of that. So one thing that is important to understand, muscle is just muscle. There is no such thing as lean, long, right? It will depend a little bit on your personal, structure, how short or long certain muscles are, but no more than that. And yes, some workout styles, I would say, can predetermine what your results will look like. Let's say CrossFit. CrossFit will give you a little bit more of that boxy look. Very, very possible, right? Just because of the explosiveness of movements. Any kind of swimming or boxing will give you broader shoulders, so might be great for men, maybe not as much for women, if that's your thing. I used to box a lot myself, and I definitely noticed how my body frame slightly changed. And then once I shifted into specifically bodybuilding style workouts with main focus on building, that hourglass shape, mostly glutes and legs, then you develop that perfect physique that, trust me, everyone wants. When your waistline is snatched, the legs are nice and strong. The only problem you're going to have is fitting into the jeans because the waistline is too big, but everything else is too tight, which is a good problem, but it's a problem.
No, it's so funny because my husband, I've been married 11 years-ish now, and we were talking about it, and he's like, I love this workout program. Huge fan, right? Because it is that like hourglass body shape where he's like, I feel like your legs are looking really good. And you're like, thank you. I had to do Bulgarian split squats 10 times this week. Not really. She doesn't torture you quite that much, but that is like my one true love-hate move. I can do them and I love them. I just hate them also simultaneously. But I think this becomes increasingly important, right, as people get older. You and I have exchanged other podcasts like Dr. Huberman, where they've talked about women over 30 and kind of the importance of building that bone density and that muscle strength. So why do you think this is increasingly important as we're getting older?
Well, to be honest with you, I might look 27, but I'm actually 37. And very rarely somebody will tell me that I even look over 28 or 29. Truthfully, I believe it's thanks to the lifestyle that I live, like lifting weights, prioritizing healthy nutrition for the most part. Trust me, you don't have to be perfect, but you can get away with a lot if you simply put fitness as your non-negotiable, just like brushing your teeth. So the number one reason why it's important for women, especially women over 30, as we age, we tend to lose muscle mass. It's not even your metabolism that slows down. Your lifestyle maybe changes, right? You no longer run around waitressing, trying to make ends meet. You tend to sit down a lot more. You maybe have a little bit more fun in your everyday life. You don't, you you go out more, you drink a little bit more, you move less. So that's what changes, not your metabolism. Your metabolism actually doesn't really slow down until you're about 60 or 60 plus. But what happens is you tend to lose muscle mass naturally. And I believe it's about 1% a year. So it's slowly, but it decreases. And it's sad because it can bring to health complications and difficulties like losing muscle mass, sarcopenia, osteoporosis, and you simply lose maybe in your 30s or even 40s. You don't think about it yet, how you're going to age, how independent of a life you're going to live. But if you think about it that far, then you definitely want to start training now. And it's not too late to start at any point. But besides the fact, it helps you to achieve that beautiful body composition, right? You actually look better, you feel better, you look more attractive. It can help you in every single area of life. If you're single, it's definitely a little bit more attractive to stay fit. It helps you feel more confident in a dating life. If you're married, you get compliments like this on a daily basis from your husband, right? So I think it's just a win-win, and yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because I saw a meme yesterday on Instagram, and it was like, thank God working out makes you look better, because if not, I definitely wouldn't do it for the mental health benefits, the life longevity, the feeling better, the better energy, the good sleep. I would only do it because it makes you look better. And it made me laugh because I was like, it is true, because sometimes we hyperfixate on that. We want to look a certain way, want to feel a certain way. I certainly feel far more confident now than I did before you and I were working together. But there's all these other benefits, building up that muscle mass so that as it deteriorates over time, you're still healthy, you're still able to move, you're still able to get up off the couch by yourself, these types of things. So what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see people making? We kind of had a brief chat about this via text, because I think this is like my favorite thing to ask, but like, what mistakes do you see when you're scrolling Instagram or you're talking to your friends, you see people making when it comes to their fitness journey?
Well, I'm going to be talking specifically about women. I do work with men and women and have great success stories on both ends, right? Both fronts. But women tend to skip breakfast. Women tend to run on coffee half of the day and then overeat in the evening. Overeat in the evening, trying to make up for the stress of the day, right? And thinking, well, I skipped, now I get to eat more. Or they eat a salad thinking that's how they'll lose body fat and get toned or stay lean. And sadly, that's not true. Or simply not being aware of how much you should actually eat is just like hoping that you will one day have $1 million, or I don't know, let's say 200,000 for some down payment for a house, but you don't even know how much is coming in and how much is going away. The same exact idea with nutrition. You can't expect to get results. But the thing is, in about a frame of 4 to 6 months, as you know from your own experience in this program, you can achieve an amazing transformation if you simply have the plan. It stops becoming just a dream and idea and a what if and maybe, and hopefully you have a plan. You know exactly what to do. You know exactly you're going to get results. There is no if. It's a matter of when and how soon. And in the process, you also learn how to maintain it and how to keep it for life. You get so much knowledge and you just become so empowered with the only house you will have to live in forever, which is your body. Mm-hmm. So it's how you take care of it.
Yeah. For those of you guys who aren't watching on YouTube but are listening on the podcast, Masha was talking about me because I'm currently drinking my coffee and saving my calories for tonight when I'm about to go out for Italian food. So in case you were curious, that was a very pointed comment. No. But I do think you're so right, though, where, fasting has its place and there's all these different trends out there. But I do see the same mistake that you're talking about, where women will go, like, you probably remember, but like fasted cardio was really big like 5-10 years ago. And now they've proven that like fasted cardio does literally nothing different than regular cardio, and you should just eat enough protein and focus on that instead. But I do think that is a big mistake that I see people make, myself included. I did have breakfast high in protein and lunch high in protein, but I am still struggling my coffee because work life. But I'd love to see, so we've talked a lot about confidence and how getting healthier helps with your body mobility, how it helps with your body goals and your body composition, but also how it helps with your confidence. How do you feel like these things fit in with your career, right? This is Secrets of the Career Game. So I'd love to hear your perspective on like being fit. It can be challenging from a time perspective to make it work when you're working, but then how is it helping you also improve your work life?
I honestly love this question. This is probably my number one biggest topic when it comes to coaching my clients. My clients are, 90% of my clients are career driven, type A women over 30, busy, running their businesses, working very career demanding, time demanding jobs, have kids, are married, have other businesses they're building. So I always admire, and I'm actually very inspired by my own clients like yourself, right? I always say that to you. But I think being fit and prioritizing your fitness as a part of your health routine helps you to not only maintain what you look like and how you feel, but it helps you with stress management. It helps you to lower the amount of anxiety that we all deal with on a daily basis. If not for fitness, like I go into the gym sometimes and I have the most difficult day because too much going on. And there is barely any time, but I go and I will never regret a good workout. And I leave in the gym. I want to hug the entire gym if I could, because that place, that guy, he will always be there for you no matter what. On a good or on a bad day, it's always there for you. And you will always feel better. The endorphins are going to just flutter like butterflies in your brain. And it just changes how you feel, how you think. There's been multiple researches how exercise and specifically weight training, resistance training have improved neurological connections in your brain, and how you actually tend to grow new brain cells, as we all need as you age, because you train, because you use resistance training. So, and of course, it helps in your workforce, no matter where you work, no matter what your career is. And it's not about the looks. Of course, we talk about body goals and looking good and feeling good, right? But it builds up your confidence. You start to carry yourself different. You become a lot more on point. You need to get to the gym, so you become a lot more organized with your time, right? So, and if you have a boss or you are your own boss, you appreciate that. You get more done. The more you have on your plate, believe it or not, you get more done.
Yeah.
That's
I totally agree with this because, as I mentioned at the start of the episode, I am an anxiety workouterer. That's not a word, but it's rolling with it. Is if I am stressed, like my husband will be like, did you gym this morning? Do you need to gym this afternoon? Would you like to go for a walk? Because I am that person where my anxiety and my stress levels, they get higher and higher the longer between workouts that I go. And so I definitely see a huge difference when I am working out of how I feel at work and in the office. Not to mention, you got to be good at time management, because there's always something we could do instead of a workout, to go to the grocery or to cook, or for me, like pick my kids up from school or take another client meeting. There's always something we can prioritize over it. So I do love that how you kind of connected that as well, of like that time management piece and how these things go together, because I'm that person. For some of you guys who have listened to my pod for a while, I wake up at usually 5 a.m. Monday through Thursday and 4:30 on Fridays to get to the gym on time before my day starts. Because if I don't go at 5 a.m., it won't happen. And poor Masha will sometimes get emails from me at like 4 a.m. like, hey, I'm on my way to the gym. Do you have my workout for today? And she's like, just do last week's, and please don't email me at 4 o'clock in the morning. So it's, she wouldn't say that, but she usually actually has it ready for me. But it's funny because I am that morning person where like, if I don't do it in the morning, it's probably not going to happen, because I have all these great theories. I'm like, ooh, I'll go after work. And they never happen because my kid stubs his toe and is crying and doesn't want to go. And then I'm like, well, I guess we just won't go tonight. So I definitely think like finding that priority and finding that time is so key. And even it makes you a better human at work. So I love hearing all of these tips, all of these pieces from you. Obviously, they're things I get to witness as your client, but also there are things that I I think are just generally important. I have Chef Julia also going to be on the podcast this month, and we talk a lot about how to eat healthy and how to prepare meals that are healthy. And so it's all of these pieces come together to really help us become that best version of ourselves. So if somebody's listening to this feeling like a couch potato, which is often how I feel after I chat with Masha, is I'm like, man, I need to go to the gym more. What is one piece of advice that you would give them of like, hey, tomorrow, start with this thing, like go do this thing to kind of get started and really start to build up that fitness and that health?
Can I give a few?
Go for it. Why not? Let's do it.
Like a 15-minute long.
She's like, great, I have a list of 100 things. They're right here.
I truly want every single woman to prioritize her health and fitness, especially if you are a busy career-driven woman, especially if you've been thinking about getting started, or you are maybe already go to the gym, but you are not quite confident there. Maybe you just use the cardio machines and maybe you don't have the routine, maybe something, but it's in the back of your mind. That means it's already a part of you. That means you already have that version of you that is you. You just need to shorten the gap of how you can become her. And this is something we always talk about. And you know how everyone is looking for motivation? It's not the motivation you need. You need the vision. You simply need to, I want all of your listeners to now or after this podcast, do this one simple exercise. I'm not going to give you how many Bulgarian split squats to do, or how long to hold your plank, or what salad to eat, or what to skip food-wise. No, this is so much bigger than that. It's actually simply closing your eyes and imagining that version of you. Who you want to be. What does she look like? What does she dress like? What things people tell her? Maybe they tell you to, maybe they tell you how you inspire them. Maybe they tell you, wow, you have changed. Maybe they tell you, wow, you've lost 20 pounds. Or wow, you look amazing. They don't even know how old you are because you just age reversed, right? And this happens on a daily basis. Just imagine her, and her is the 2.0 version of you. And don't wait for a Monday or a new year or after the holidays. Today is a new day. And you can change and rewrite your story. If you never worked out till now, this can be your day one. Don't expect a miracle. Just start and never stop. Things will get in the way. Life will happen. You'll get busy with the schedule, but just continue to become closer to that version of you that you want to become.
Love that. Yes, that's so good. And it's interesting because I did an exercise like this at the midpoint of this year. And I wrote it down. It's like, she attracts people. She is confident, all of these things that I wanted to be. And I look at it every day to like remind myself, because to your point, there are days I'm not motivated, that I don't want to work 12 hours for my lovely clients who I appreciate each and every one of you. And there are days where like you don't want to go to the gym or you don't want to eat grilled chicken for the 25th time that week, though I make a mean roast chicken. I think that's such great advice and I love that. So if people are listening to this and they're like, Masha is speaking to my soul, she's fabulous, where can people go to find you and to learn more about your programs and more about you?
I would love to chat with every single one of you. If you listen to this episode, if you connected with absolutely anything or you hated some of it, that's perfectly fine. Come give me feedback and just come say hi. You can find me on Instagram at Masha Challenge, MASHA Challenge, just like the word. And that is a big part of my brand name. And if you're looking to completely transform your life, from stepping on stage or looking hot and fit in a bikini, you know how to find me.
Awesome. Well, we will definitely tag that below in the show notes. If you guys like today's episode, go ahead and leave us 5 stars and leave any questions or comments you have for Masha or I below, and we will get back to you guys. Masha, it was awesome having you on the podcast. I so appreciate it. This was great. We'll definitely have to have you back soon.
Oh, look at the hearts. That's so
hearts. It's so